Hey, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's employment webinar, Pre-Employment Transition Services. My name is Melissa Edwards, and I am the Transition Project Manager for Project Power. Project Power is funded by the Rehabilitation Services Administration, which supports parent centers in Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah to build capacity for transitioning youth with disabilities and their families. To get the best experience, please keep your mics off. You will be muted for most of the presentation. Please use the chat to ask questions. We will answer them at the end of each presenter. If you'd prefer to ask your questions out loud, please use the raise hand function in the reactions section at the bottom of the screen. The webinar is being recorded. We will send out the recording along with resources and a survey to fill out. We will also place a link to the survey in the chat 5 minutes before the end of the webinar for you to fill out. Today, we will be spending our hour in partnership with Arizona's Raising Special Kids and Diversability Incorporated. Let's get started with Kathy from Raising Special Kids, who will introduce our first speaker.
Thank you, Melissa. We're very happy to be here, and shout out to a lot of my Arizona Raising Special Kids coworkers who are here to get what we hope is valuable information. So I'm Kathy Gray Mangerson. I'm the Education Systems Administrator for Raising Special Kids. As Melissa said, we're the Arizona PTI. And Reggie is here from Diversability, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself and her organization.
Thanks, Kathy. Again, I'm Reggie Mitchell with Diversability Incorporated. We're based out of Arizona, and we serve youth and young adults that are in that transition age, that transition from youth to adulthood. And we partnered with Raising Special Kids for many years. They're experts at serving parents, and so combining our skills and talents just makes a lot of sense. Our focus is a lot on self-advocacy, leadership, and really letting youth and young adults know what resources are out there for people who have disabilities, especially in that transition age. And we appreciate being here today and the partnership with Project Power as well.
And we at Raising Special Kids really appreciate our partnership with Diversability. Reggie has been fabulous to work with this project on. So what we're going to share with you today is this is the second of 3 webinars in this series. And so we are going to share information about transition for youth, possibly employment for youth, and those types of things. And we hope that maybe this helps you share that in your particular state. So today is number 2. The third one in this series is September the 19th, same time frame. And we're going to be talking about Centers for Independent Living. So if you're interested in that particular topic, then please register for the workshop. And at the end of the PowerPoint, which you will get in several days, is a link to be able to do that. So there is a law called the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA, and it was signed into law a decade ago, which I have a hard time believing, right? But July 2014, it amended the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and most importantly, it added 2 things to the law. It increased the number of students who have disabilities who can receive services, and it added opportunities for them to practice and improve their workplace readiness skills, which is what we're going to talk about today. And so those services are called Pre-ETS, Pre-Employment Transition Services, which is our whole focus. And you will see that there are 3 criteria for students to be able to be eligible for Pre-ETS. They have to be between 14 and 22 years of age. They have to be participating in some kind of educational program. A public school, a private school, a charter school, homeschooled, vocational program, a college, a GED program, something along those lines. And then they have to have some kind of documented disability, possibly from a doctor, their IEP, things along those lines. So as parents find out about this program, and if their child is 14 to 18, then a parent can sign their child up, as well as schools know all about these programs, and they hopefully will be telling the parent about it so that the parent can get their child to participate. If I had to sum up pre-ETS in one way, one sentence, it would be that it's career exploration and job readiness training for kids with disabilities. We are trying to prepare them for employment. And typically, although every organization might do it slightly differently, they're usually presented via workshops. But what they are required to include in their pre-ETS program is these 5 topics: work-based learning experiences in an integrated environment, counseling information on post-secondary and training opportunities, what's out there after I leave my K-12 institution. Reggie talked to you about self-advocacy. Pre-ETS spends a lot of time talking about self-advocacy, how to do it, when's appropriate, that type of thing, as well as job exploration counseling. What's out there? What's available? What does it take to get that particular job? And then, very importantly, social skills, independent living, any of those kinds of things that are needed for work readiness. So here are just a few examples of what what kind of training specifically that the skills that the child might get participating in a pre-ETS program. So maybe the program talks about communication or interpersonal skills. Maybe there's a little bit about financial literacy, like how to budget. Or if you make this much money, how much does everything cost? Rent and utilities, et cetera, et cetera. Does this particular student need to learn about group orientation or mobility skills? Do they need to learn how to take the public bus? Those types of things, or any other type of transportation available. And then the job seeking skills, and really importantly, the soft skills, right? Practicing not only just how to interview, but what do you do on the job, and how do you work with the job how do you work on the job with coworkers and a boss after you actually get it? The only thing that pre-ETS can't do is it can't duplicate any type of service that the child is getting in school under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. When the child turns 16, there's an additional part of their IEP that gets added to that. It can't duplicate any of those programs. This is a fabulous website. I am not going to take time today to show you everything in it because it would probably take the rest of our time to do that. It's such a great website. It has information about frequently asked questions about transition and a policy guide for pre-ed, and it has interest inventories and webinars and career exploration and links you to so many other places. We really feel it's the one place to at least start and really get some background information. Now, in order to access this, I'm going to show you what our site in Arizona looks like, but I'm also going to tell you, having gone to the site in all the other states that are part of Project Power, there are some states that have a great amount of information about pre-ETS that would be so helpful for parents to get that website and go and look at it. And there are some states that have virtually nothing. So I would really recommend that you go to your state, you click on the link that we're going to give you in a couple of slides, and see what they have. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute, and I am going to share what ours looks like in Arizona. So our vocational rehabilitation program is under our Arizona Department of Economic Security. I guess I could go up a little bit and show you that. But here's a whole page on pre-ETS, and on the left side you can see it says under vocational rehabilitation we have Division of Developmental Disabilities and pre-ETS. And if a parent goes to this page, those are the 5 topics that I talked about, and right underneath that it says there's a pre-ETS overview, right, in English or Spanish, and a parent could click on that link and get a page that talks about pre-ETS in one page. Also, our Arizona page has our directories. So if you want to find out, and this is done county by county, what programs are in the county that you live in, you would click on that, go to the name of your county, and you would find all the programs that are available. And the last thing that Arizona has is they have a pre-ETS request form. So a parent could fill that out. submit it to, here is the Rehabilitation Services Administrative Transition Team mailbox. And then they're saying, please send us a MET or an IEP if you have any medical proof, that kind of thing. Send that all in. So that's how it works in Arizona. Let me stop sharing that again. Let me go back to the PowerPoint and finish sharing that. And here are the links for all the states that are participating in this program. So I would encourage you to go to your state and look and see what's available. And it might be worthwhile to go to the other states and see what they do and how that particular thing works. I am so pleased to introduce you to our main speakers today, Vanessa and Brandy. I've been working with Vanessa for over a decade of this law. They're both in the same county I live in Southern Arizona, but they have a fabulous pre-ETS program called Workability. And every time I talk to a parent who has a child who's gone through the program, they are super happy and tell me what the child learned and that kind of things. They'll tell you a little bit about how they're expanding in Southern Arizona, their programs, but most importantly, they're going to explain a little bit how their program works, but they're going to give you an idea of how programs should work. And there's lots of flexibility within that if you cover those 5 main topics. So I'm going to stop sharing this and allow them to share their PowerPoint and tell you a little bit about their fabulous workability program. So Vanessa and Brandy, thanks so much for coming today, and the floor is all yours.
Sorry about that, getting organized here. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Yeah, can I see a reaction? Get everybody awake, get everybody going here. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Kathy. And as she had mentioned, my name is Vanessa Zuber. I'm the statewide Director of Employment Services for UCP of Southern Arizona.
And I'm Brandy Kitzberger. I am the Director of Transition Services for Workability UCPSA.
And so hopefully we'll be able to shed a light, some more information on what Kathy was speaking on, which is pre-ETS. We may add some other additional information on transition services, but we'll get right into this here.
So our objectives, we want to let you know who we are, an overview of what we do. We want to talk about transition services.
Brandy, can you speak up a little bit or get closer to Vanessa? They're in the same room, so this makes it super difficult. Thank you.
Is this better? Okay, so our objectives are who we are, an overview of us, workability, what are transition services we provide, how to transition into job development, and how to support parents and with tips and strategies. So we're excited to be here with you.
So Workability is owned and operated by United Cerebral Palsy of Southern Arizona. That's the name of our employment services program. We provide a variety of employment services in addition to pre-ETS. We also have job development and rehabilitation instructional services, which are VR funded services. And then we also have individualized supported employment, group supported employment, our transition to employment services. So there's a wide realm of employment supports that we provide. We began the program back in 2014. So we've been around now for 10 years. We celebrated our 10 years of being an operating program. And we also work with multiple counties, hence why right now we're actually both in Yuma, Arizona, So we provide services in Tucson, which is in Pima County, Santa Cruz County, and Yuma. So we're all over Southern Arizona. So the other thing I want to say too is we've made, probably at this point, we have made about over 250 placements into competitive integrated employment. And that's a huge feat. And we do feel that all the services we provide are giving people multiple pathways. And I think that's the interesting thing about Pre-ETS and all these other services that we provide, is it offers a nice variety of services that our members, that people coming in can take advantage of.
So we're going to talk a little bit about our specific transition services that includes Pre-ETS. And our goal at Workability is to help people find work that meets their skill level, interests, and addresses any of their financial needs. We're going to talk about, services with vocational rehabilitation, which is short-term. We've become creative with our services in the sense we offer varieties of levels of our curriculum for Pre-ETS, for example. And the same thing is for our DDD services, which are our long-term support services with transition, where we are helping our members one-to-one, and we're helping them grow and guide them to whatever their next steps are after they're ready to get to work.
Mm-hmm.
So some things to remember about transition services is employment transition services. We're helping them move from one place to another. Sometimes it is from high school to adulthood. Sometimes it's from one service to another service. So we're always helping them gain, get to where they want to, especially when it revolves around employment. And of course, the outcome is always to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Transition isn't just about who's receiving the person, but it's about the family. It's about the team. It's about how do we support this person making this transition? Because we all have a team, whether without a disability, we all have a team that helps us make these decisions. And so we want to include the entire team also with the movement of these services. And there's multiple ways that a person can get transition services. There's, from one-on-one services to group services to variety of transition programs within the school, after-school programs, summer programs. So there's a lot of ways that a person can transition. But knowing this can be very confusing and overwhelming, especially to families, as the expectation is moving from the schools doing all the work to the families having to provide provide the service, help provide the services, and having the responsibility to organize their child's schedule. They also, we encourage services to start in elementary school, not to start in high school. We all had our class, where we talked about like, what would be our future job when we were children? Mm-hmm. And then it kind of, people with disabilities, oftentimes they don't continue to have those conversations through elementary and middle school. And then it falls all on our high school teachers. And so encouraging families to start talking about what's going to happen after high school at a young age will help them also prepare alongside with their child to prepare what's going to happen after high school. Because as we all know, kids grow up fast.
So just to keep in mind, it's basically setting the expectation that your child is going to participate in the workforce like any other child. We dream, we think about what we want to do when we get to be adults. That is a natural process for turning into an adult, is that you're going to get a job and you're going to participate and contribute. So it's setting the tone when they're in elementary school. We're starting to have these conversations like we would with anybody else. So.
And then the last piece is the advocacy, supporting, helping our children become more advocates for themselves, discuss what they need and want, helping our family, supporting our family with that early planning on helping that person on their journey to successful employment. Because as we all know, the person who's going to be doing job is the child. It's not going to be the parent. It's not the mom or dad.
Or the coach.
Or the coach. It's the actual, child, / becoming a young adult. And so we want to make sure we help them with the advocacy piece. So. So I want to talk about pre-employment transition services. So the way we at Workability provide these services is we coordinate with schools. I coordinate with parents. I coordinate with homeschooling parents. And when I say schools, I'm talking public, private, charter schools. We want to work with a variety of different people to provide pre-employment services. And so it's really important for us to reach out to a variety of different entities that provide support to people with disabilities. Most of it occurs on high school campuses. We do sometimes do some work in the community, such as at a library that's near a person's house, or we might do it at our office, but the majority of our services happen on high school campuses. We collaborate with teachers to meet students where they're at. Like I said, we have a level 1 and we have a level 2 curriculum, because one curriculum is not going to reach the needs of every single student that we work with. So we want to make sure that we're providing the best service that we can to help those students start planning for what they're going to be doing after high school. We encourage sharing of resources between our teachers and our workability instructors and the teachers in the schools. We don't hold on to information. We want to share it out so that they can help support their students more efficiently and effectively. We carve out work-based learning opportunities. So one of the things that we do for that module is, instead of the instructor going to the school, we meet out in the community at a business or organization that's similar to the needs and interests of the class. And they learn about they get a tour, they learn about that business, they learn about expectations of getting a job there, they might learn about pay rates, they might learn about, do you have to wear a uniform, and then they do some hands-on experience at that business, so they can see what would it be like to work at this business. And again, it's just like a little snapshot.
Do you want to share a couple work-based learning places we've carved? Because it's kind of fun to share where we have carved out places.
Yeah, so we work, like, for example, we work with one Main Event, which is similar to Dave & Buster's. And so we go in and they learn about what it's like to, whether that's playing the, keeping the games running and working. They might be working where there's the bowling alley and helping give out shoes, or they might be helping in the restaurant area, helping serving, bussing tables, those kinds of things. And so we really want to get them into that business and how, what would it be like to actually work there? And the students really enjoy being out there and checking something out new. And like I remember in high school, I loved to be off site. So it's great to get off, and the students love it too. We don't want this to be a lecture style. It's really important that our students are interactive and engaged in our lessons. So we do things like videos, activities, classroom instruction, scenarios to kind of think through on the various topics, because we want them to be, it's their learning, and so we want to be facilitators of their learning. And typically we work with people, with groups of students between 5 and 10 people typically, because we want it to be helpful for those students. So we don't want to work with too big of classrooms because then we're not able to individualize as much if we're working with too many people. We also complete one-on-one sessions. So in special circumstances, like if we're not working with a specific school and a parent reaches out to us, we will provide one-on-one sessions also. Other transition programs. We have our TTE, or a Transition to Employment Services program. This is through the Division of Developmental Disabilities. And to be part of that program, you need to make sure that you have, there's a certain criteria to meet. And workplace, and so certain criteria, which is having cerebral palsy, autism, epilepsy, or an intellectual disability. You can have, one or a combination of those. So to participate, and it has to be the long-term services. And in Arizona, we call it all-techs. So in TTE, we have our workplace readiness curriculum. We cover 17 topics. We have an 8-week summer program and 2 20-week programs, one in the fall and one in the spring. It's very inclusive. We have community internships. So similar to what I was talking about with Main Event, we have various internships where our members will go and work 2 hours at an internship site to learn the expectations, build skills, and do some job exploration. Is this the type of job I really would like to do? So it's really important that they work with the staff that's there at each business or organization. Job exploration, like I mentioned, what's out there besides the internships. Let's look online, let's check out these types of jobs or these businesses that you're interested in. We have our members go out into the community and do informational interviews. So let's learn more about this job that you want. Let's go and ask some questions to an employee there. Why do you like working here? What's the best thing? What's the hardest thing about working here? Why did you get this job here? Those kinds of questions, so they can kind of learn about the culture and expectations. The other area with inclusion we are very proud of is we do an entrepreneurship program where our members create a project and sell it at our local farmers market. And so of the topics that we go over, such as self-advocacy, workplace readiness skills, we do job exploration, they now can put those into play and practice their customer service skills. They can practice how to talk with people. They can practice their advocacy if they need assistance with something, if someone comes. So we've sold things like cards and mosaic tiles and bird feeders and popcorn, our gourmet lovely sriracha honey caramel popcorn that we make, and our members make all of these things. So it's really exciting for them to be part of that program, part of the program. And the last thing, universal design. So it's really important. This program is one-on-one, so we're able to adapt our materials to the needs of the person, their learning style, and making sure that we are providing instruction that meets them where they're at. We teach them about accommodations and what might you need to be successful in the workplace, and so we will accommodate our learners also. And so our TTE, or Transition to Employment Services, is a much more comprehensive program, whereas our Pre-ETS program is about an introductory program. So, and instead of going back a little bit, our Pre-ETS program is about 15 hours in total, which is, of course, very different than our TTE program, which is most of the time a 20-week program. So. But yeah, so that's a little bit about our transition services.
Thanks, Brandy. She did awesome. Yay. How's everyone doing? Are we still awake? Because I have to look over at Brandy's screen to see if I see a thumbs up. All right. Okay, yay. So next step. So, people go through pre-ETS, they're getting ready to graduate, or maybe we have people that came to us through the TTE program. Maybe they came from a sheltered work program. I don't know if all of you know what a sheltered work program is, but a sheltered work program means that they were in an enclave, they were earning sub-minimum wages. It was not integrated. So they're coming out of that experience. And so a lot of times they've never interviewed for a job, they've never had to do a resume, all those things. So sometimes they go through TTE because a lot of times they're like in their late 20s, or we've had people come to us in their 50s. So, so anyways, you have these different kinds of pathways when people are transitioning. So they could be coming from a lot of different directions. So what happens? Like, how do we navigate all those things? Like when they come to us from Pre-ETS or from the TTE program, a lot of times conversations are happening, usually within that, I don't know, midterm. So middle of their 20-week program, or maybe before they graduate. There's conversations. What do you want to do? Do you feel like you might need some job support? Or maybe the team is like, yeah, we all feel, including the person, yeah, I'm going to need some job support. So what do we do? What do parents do around that? And so, a referral will get made. And then thinking about identifying which vendor I'm going to choose. If I'm going with the same vendor that was providing my transition services, then who will be working with my son or daughter? Like, is it going to be a job coach? Are they going to have a coordinator? Like, how does all that work, right? So making sure that that communication is happening around how to access, what it's going to look like, and then how to work with Voc Rehab. So we do a lot of support around that. And then, thinking through, because everything's like a stepping stone, right? Thinking through, well, what does that look like? Because some people may want to go to school, they may want to do post-secondary, like college. So maybe they're going to do a certification program. There are some vendors that are able to provide post-secondary supports. We have a contract with Voc Rehab in Arizona to provide what's called supported education. And so supported education is allowing us to provide support to somebody who is in college, whether it's checking in, how are you doing? Where are you in your studies? Checking in with the department head that they're studying under, working with them to get connected to FAFSA, get their books ordered, those kinds of things. So that's another pathway, right? And then when they finish their degree, they may choose us as the vendor to provide job coaching. Maybe some people are, requiring more time. So from the transition to employment program, which is the longer term service, maybe they want to do group supported employment. And that just means that they have the time, they have the right environment to work through behavioral challenges, or maybe some more work readiness skills, but they're getting paid. They're working side by side with another person, and they have a coach. So some vendors choose to do it in large groups. We choose to do it 1 to 2. We feel doing larger groups means that the people we're supporting don't get the customization that they need. So we like to keep it 1 to 2 when we do group supports. Okay, so then maybe it's like we're going to do job development. That's the next step. And that can be done under a Voc Rehab. And that's obviously where a person is looking for work. They're ready to work, and we're, looking at applications, we're getting resumes going, all those kinds of things are happening in job development. Okay, so supporting parents. So Brandy and I are going to tackle this slide together.
Yeah, so when we are talking about our transition side, is a lot of times we are talking with members and families who are new to this situation and what are services. So we talk about what are the services we provide, how we can help that person get to what is considered kind of integrated competitive employment. And so we discussed what are those services, and what's the process? Maybe you'll start with the transition to employment program and then move to JDR. And so helping them understand kind of that they won't always be working with the same people over the same period, or over a period of time. Just kind of helping prepare them for that and how to plan for it. Because some people will come to us in our TTE program that'll be with us for one summer and then they're ready to go to work. Where others might be with us for a year and then they're ready to work. So it looks different for each person and we individualize it for that. So helping parents kind of understand the differences of the services, how long services may be. We also help them understand the differences between a DDD and VR services in Arizona. So understanding that DDD is what is a long-term service that helps them in all variety of ways of their life, including employment, versus VR, which is specifically focused on employment itself. And then we also help them understand how to apply for services. Sometimes we'll even have parents call us and they don't have either DDD or VR services. So we'll offer them ideas on how to, and resources on how to apply for services, especially when some are coming from out of state. And the last thing in
Brandy, can you talk a little louder or get closer to Vanessa? It's hard to hear you. Thank you.
And then the last is we're always sharing resources with parents. So for example, I oftentimes will refer people to Raising Special Kids because they need certain supports that I think that will be helpful for them, whether it's a guardianship or understanding their rights, etc. We also work with the Arizona Center for Disability Law in understanding that, what their rights are and what the process is to receive services. And so, and the transition side, we're kind of prepping them and getting them ready.
All right. Good job. That's a lot. Whew, we do a lot. From the JDR's perspective, or from the job development and job coaching, where we're sort of getting people placed, a lot of times we are sharing resources that relate to like ONET, how to look up jobs, how to look up careers, looking at assessments. ONET is a great resource, or the JAN Network. JAN Network really gets into things around appropriate, how to ask for an accommodation, whether to disclose or not disclose, right? So we're sharing these additional resources so that way, not only is the person getting that information in their sessions with us, our job development sessions, but families can also reinforce it outside of their sessions, because we have to remember, we only get that little blip of time with them, but really outside the sessions, they need to be working on things as well. And so we like to share that information with our families. The other thing too is talking about silks, how they can utilize that as a resource. Silks are great, independent living centers. I know we have a Direct here in Tucson. I believe in Yuma, we have Smile as the silk. And then we have Diversibility. So we have a lot of different independent living centers, and they offer a lot of resources for people, because remember, they're not going to be kids forever, so they're going to be adults and they're going to need more additional resources. We also like to spend time talking about ableism, so that way parents and our members feel empowered or learn more about how ableism can kind of work even in our systems. So just being kind of aware of that. And then we also talk about sexual health and healthy relationships. And the reason why we do this, especially as they are getting into the workforce, is because we see things like our members unaware or haven't had enough education. They're doing things like hugging their coworkers, or they're asking for phone numbers, or they're stalking their coworkers. And it's because they haven't learned appropriate, healthy relationships in the workplace. So a lot of times they'll get it in TTE, they'll touch on it in Pre-ETS, but then when they come to us for JDR services, we're also sort of reinforcing, hey, there is a certain way you need to behave, and that you do need to understand how healthy relationships work, because that is a thing. People do get fired. And unfortunately, from the population we support, a lot of times the reason why they'll get fired from their job or they'll get in trouble is because they do something inappropriate, either sexually or intimately. So anywho, those are just things that we think about. All right, moving on. Thank you. Tag teaming this. All right. Strategies and tips. So Brandy and I were talking about this, like, what are some different things to kind of prepare, you know, as parent, you all are parents, I believe. Everybody is a parent on here, right? Yeah, I see, yeah, shaking her head. So, you know, and a lot of these things can be very taboo subjects, can be very, it can be very intense subjects, but it's good to just be aware, right? Like when we talk about healthy relationships or things like that happening in the workplace, it's good to talk about those things. So in prepping for this big transition, it's going to be overwhelming. You know, it's going to be overwhelming. And you have to think through, well, what vendor, choosing vendors, like what am I going to be thinking about? Do vendors know these things? Are they talking about healthy relationships in the workplace? You know, do they think outside the box? Do they have relationships with employers? Like, who do they have relationships with? Do they have both a transition program and a job development program? Because the thing is, it's like we mentioned in the beginning, transition means they're going somewhere. So if they only have a transition program, what does that mean? You know, you're stuck having to find another vendor, which isn't bad, but it's nice if you can find a program that has both. It saves time. They've developed a relationship with the person, all those kinds of things. Do they know about customized employment? Do they understand how that works? Do they do sheltered work programs? If they still are doing sheltered work programs, that's not actually a good thing because they're not being progressive. The way that we're moving in the United States, we're moving away from sheltered and sub-minimum wage types of services. So that's kind of a red flag. And then what are the retention rates? Like, how many people have they placed? Where have they placed people? Do they make good matches when they place people? All right, we're almost done. I think we're going to end right on time. All right, so here's some other tips. So, you know, thinking about volunteer opportunities when they are in middle school, you know, start encouraging them to get connected with volunteer opportunities. Anything, go to the library, volunteer, go to a local nonprofit, and do some work like the Boys and Girls Club or Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. Extracurricular activities are great. It's a great way to get people moving and thinking about what they want to do. You know, having them be leaders. So teaching your kids how to be a leader at a young age. It's the tendency, I think, and I'm a sib, by the way. You know, I'm a sister of my brother has autism, so I completely understand. You know, I want to help him, I want to protect him, I want to make sure he's okay, but I also want him to be independent, and I want him to lead his services for himself, because at some point I am not going to be on the planet anymore. You know, he has to be able to do these things for himself. So as we're, educating and supporting our kids, we want them to learn at an early age. You run your IEP program. You participate in your program. You have a say in things. Keep going here. If we can get there we go. And again, like setting the expectation when they're young. Why is work important? I mean, a lot of times we think, oh, it's money, but there's other reasons why work is important. I mean, you meet friends at your job. You are learning new skills, which is very stimulating. You get to participate in contributing to things because you're making money, you're paying taxes, you're doing all those things that typical adults do. So think more, stretch it out and expand your thinking about why work is important and get your kiddo excited about it. And then self-advocacy. They're going to have to be able to speak up. They're going to have to be able to say yes and no and make decisions and make choices, all those kinds of things, because they'll have to do that in the workplace.
So also, it's really important for parents to discuss disability openly, to talk about what does it mean to have this disability and what does it mean for this person. A lot of times I talk with students and I talk about, well, how do you learn? Because our disability is going to affect the ways that we learn. And so how is that going to look at a work site? When you get a job, you have to learn how to do the job. And so what's your learning style? What are some areas that you do really well, you have strengths in, and what are some areas that you struggle in? And you have some barriers. So making sure that, the person is learning what their strengths and abilities are. And being able to talk about them, going back to being a self-advocate, going back to participating in an IEP, making sure that the person knows what they're good at and what their barriers are, because we all have strengths and barriers, and that's just a part of being a human being. Encouraging our kids to learn about their disability, we forgot to put the word disability in there. Sorry. But encourage them to learn about it. What does it mean? What does it look like for them? It shouldn't be taboo and scary. It's actually very empowering to know about who you are, how this affects you, and how you can overcome it. And if we don't have those conversations with our children, then they're never going to feel that they're empowered and confident in who they are as a person. Mm-hmm. And then also supported decision-making, being there to support the person in making decisions about their life. Having the team together and to help that person make an informed decision about where they want to live, where do they want to work, what kind of life that they want to live. And it's really important to be there and support the person, because going back to before, we're trying to teach them self-advocacy, they're participating, they're learning about who they are. So now let's apply that to their life and how they are going to make decisions going forward.
Mm-hmm. And then, as a part of and this is our last slide, by the way, so we're just about done, but, thinking through, accountability. I think a lot of times, again, it goes back to wanting to protect our kids or wanting them to, maybe we're like, I don't know, we'll just let them blah, 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 blah. But we want them to feel that accountability, and that's going to teach them as they get into the workforce that, when you make a poor choice, this is the consequence of what happens when you make a poor choice. And it's okay. It's okay to have the dignity of risk to make bad choices, because that's how they're going to learn. And then, letting them learn how to use a cell phone, letting them learn how to use an email. I know that a lot of times this can be really hard because, social media, there's a lot of fear around or hesitancy. But unfortunately, now that technology is what it is, a lot of employers require an email, and it needs to be your kid's email, not your email. And it has to be their cell phone. And so teaching them those skills, like setting up your voicemail and checking your phone and using your phone to set up your appointments, all those kinds of things. And then, you know, I find that a lot of times parents are our greatest resource. You know, parents are amazing. You know, you guys have connections, you know your kids, you know the history. I mean, you guys are a wealth of resources. So sometimes you guys are going to have great connections in the community of, like, you know, places to do internships or places to get a job. So don't hesitate to share that or be, you know, utilize your guys' connections. Okay, so our information's on the last slide, but I know that we wanted to have time to answer questions. And it looks like we have a little under 10 minutes, right, Kathy?
Yep. We do not have any in the chat, so if you'd rather just unmute yourself and ask the questions, feel free to do that.
What is it? Right.
Well,
I know somebody in Flagstaff had talked about this, and I know right now our contracts cover the southern region. And because we are bound by our charter, because there is a UCP Central, even though UCP Central doesn't provide employment services, we are not allowed to go up into Maricopa or any of the other northern counties, but we'll see what happens. There could be a chance that we break from our charter. And so if that happens, then we would love to talk to everybody from different counties about services happening in other places. I see another chat.
So I just
Okay.
put a survey in the chat while you're thinking about your questions. If you could just take a couple minutes to fill out this survey about the webinar, we would appreciate it.
Stop sharing a second. There we go. Now I can see everybody's face. I have a question. I'm curious where some of you are. Like, where are you guys located? The people on the chat here or on this Zoom.
I am from Colorado.
Colorado. Nice. Do you guys have similar services there in North Idaho?
Actually, I came from India, so I really not having so much know about the school transition program. So I'm literally new. Whatever I learn, try to learn and understand.
Mhm.
So this is very new things I come to know. Never school told have any kind of discussion about this. But one of the parent who says like go and attach with the parent to parent group, and like this I come here.
Yeah.
So for me everything is really very very new. So I try to understand more what you are talking about, and how I help my child and how I help others child also. That is why I'm here. So
Nice.
basically there are some families from India who do not know anything
Yeah.
because of the communication gap or the kind of English. We have
Mhm.
little bit different English than the American English. So sometimes it is very hard to understand. So I am thinking like I should be the person for those people who are having little bit that barrier of language barrier or cultural barrier kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, let me take this training and let me help my child and others' child also.
Yeah, that's great. And also, I think like there's also can be some cultural things too, besides language. I know. I
Yes.
did a training one time for an employer that had a site in India, and it was really interesting learning more just about the culture in addition to those language differences. But I was going to say, if you ever have questions and you want to talk more, you're more than welcome to reach out to Brandy or myself. I want to open that up to the group because I know this is a quick training. And I'm so glad you were able to hop on.
Actually,
So So we're good.
learning
Anyone
all
else?
these things is okay, like it is a theory. Like once you do at least one child, if you help, then you come to know entire process, right? Then next
Mhm.
time it is very easy for us that we can help other childs also.
Mhm.
So is what I am thinking, like I did 2 sessions of this webinar, and I want to know, we also have another session for third session also. We also know that how we start from step by step, like this is a child, what is his ability, how he will do all these things, whether he will get inside, get fit
Mhm.
in this system or not. And if so, if yes, then it's okay, go with the system, whatever the you tell me, this things. But if suppose child is not able to do these things, means the level of ability is less, then what is the option for that children? That
Mhm.
kind of questions always wandering in my
Mhm.
mind,
Sure.
because every child is having different ability, right?
Mhm.
So for this also we need, as a parent, as you say that parent is a good resource. Yes, they know more about the children. They
Mhm.
know what are the difficulties, what are the easiness for the kids.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it will mental satisfaction and peace, like if what when I am not on this planet, then what is the roadmap for my child?
Mhm.
This is the
Right.
major problem with all peoples, all parents.
Yeah, because I
So
don't think
you
it's just about, yeah, because
go ahead, Vanessa.
all of us have had our pathways, everybody's journey is different. And so respecting the individual themselves and meeting people where they are. And it could be that as we go on that journey, we discover that the person has significant barriers. And the question does come up, and I've been challenged. I'm not going to say, after I don't know how many years I've been in the industry, but I get challenged sometimes. Can this person work? But we do have the philosophy that anyone can work if they want to, and it's all about finding the match. And that is the journey, and that journey can be hard. But I want to really quickly, is it Aru? Am I saying your name correctly? Aru, I
Yes.
want to take another question, okay? But will you, if email us, if you want to talk more about this. Let's see, I have Sarah ask a question. You want to take that?
Yeah, so Sarah asked about how to get in touch with homeschoolers. Well, one of the, I actually, for Pre-ETS, I had a parent who homeschools reach out to me. And that was, kind of my in to one of the homeschooling, parent groups. And so that person now has encouraged other parents to participate in our Pre-ETS. And also, one of the things I haven't done yet, but it's one of the things I want to do this school year, is reaching out to some of those homeschooling co-ops and groups and just talk to them about what we do, how do we provide these services, who are the services for? Because even if they're working with children that are younger, it goes back to the idea of let's plan, let's start thinking about what's going to be happening next. The other thing is going to community fairs, that provide, like parent fairs and things, and being available, because a lot of times homeschool parents are going to be out there reaching out, trying to get resources. And so that's another way of reaching out to homeschoolers and homeschooling parents. Does that help, Sarah?
It does. I think on the other side of those things, it's really Pre-ETS tends to only be offered in the 2 high schools in Flagstaff. And even though we do have other companies that offer things, they don't really know how to interact with parents and in charters. And it's just like, well, you take them there for twice a week and they have no idea what's going on. So, and when I've talked to VR about it, they get confused as to like why this is difficult. So it's just, how do you kind of create that communication piece to try to go back and forth? But that could probably be a really long discussion. So it just creates a lot
And
of
I
confusion
unfortunately
here.
have to cut us off because we're over time.
Yeah.
But please make sure that you filled out the survey. Thank you again to Vanessa and Brandy. You shared fabulous information. We really appreciate it. And if you're interested in the Centers for Independent Living, there's the link to register for the one on September the 19th. So
Thank you.
everyone
Yeah.
who attended, and you'll get Vanessa's and Brandy's PowerPoint. And if you'd like to contact them further, or Reggie or myself, you will have our email addresses. Feel free to do that. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us today. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to
Thank
seeing
you.
you on September the 19th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you, everybody.